Hey guys, James Wilson-Taylor here for Rock Sound. We're in the beautiful Old Church in St Pancras here today. Dashboard Confessional playing tonight, and Chris joins me now. How are you, sir?
I'm wonderful. What a place to be, huh?
Incredible place to do a show, I would imagine. Yeah, going to be absolutely incredible this evening. And yeah, let's dive right in there, because obviously your most recent release was these reworkings of these old albums. I want to first of all ask about the title of that project, because it was Now Is Then Is Now. What was the significance of that title in particular?
Well, Now Is Then Is Now came from revisiting what the song's original intentions were. Before people with good intentions got their hands in the mix, and I say they had good intentions. They wanted to see the songs become the best they could be, but they did push the songs into a place that they didn't start out to be. So this was a way for me to find ownership again of those songs in structure, in lyrics, and in presentation.
Yeah, I remember we spoke to you about it in the mag already. I remember you saying that you were kind of surprised at first by the idea of it being a full band. You always assumed it was going to be yourself and maybe more of an acoustic project. How was it kind of stripping elements of it back and then going to that original intention again, like you say?
There was the rawness of being by yourself with an acoustic guitar can be so much more powerful than all the distortion in the world, than the heaviest drums, than the lowest bass. But there are cases where that rawness strikes deeply. In so doing is well more effective.
Yeah. And do you find that, like, then moving forward, I suppose, are you already thinking, okay, maybe on my next record, am I going to be stripping it back again? Do you think you'll go back with more band stuff, maybe a hybrid of both? How's it affected
I don't think I can ever keep from doing both. But that's been the beauty of this band, is that I've been able to do both. Yeah. But it's been a long time since I felt, with new music, that the draw to present it as stripped down as my first two records are. And I feel that way right now.
Wow, no, amazing. And that's kind of the interesting thing is now, of course, early next year, we've got the greatest hits coming out now as well. I mean, it really is a proper time of reflection, I suppose. I guess the obvious question I have now that you've looked back on all this early material as well, if you could go back now and say to that guy right at the beginning, give him a little piece of advice, is there anything that comes to mind? Anything been unlocked in revisiting this whole period?
Yeah, I think I would say go with your gut. You've got to listen to your own instincts, and it's great to learn. It's great to want to learn. It's great to if you're doing this from the right place and you're taking people's advice, producers, record label people, agents, managers, all the people that are in your inner circle, their intentions are good. You should believe, whether you're right or wrong, you should allow yourself to believe that you know better, even if you're wrong. There's power in it.
Yeah, absolutely. In terms of this tour now, of course, it's all about this revisited project. And, you know, like we say, a beautiful setting such as this. I mean, how has coming out on the road since releasing these reworked versions, how's that affected your perception, actually playing them live in front of the audience in this way?
Well, you know, as I revisited the lyrics, I changed them to what they originally were.
Of course.
And recorded them that way. And I don't know which one to sing now. And I don't know which one the audience is going to sing. And half the audience seems to be singing the new way, which is the original way. And the other half is singing the way that has been what they've lived with for all these years. And I'm at a loss. I'm going in between the two, just trying to hang on for dear life.
You're just going to have to do them both now. Every song twice. Let's do double the set list.
It's a surefire way to make sure no one ever comes back.
I think you'd be surprised. I think you'd be very, very surprised. So let's talk as well about this greatest hits album that's coming out. Because again, looking back on such a full career.
Go on. Because I don't have any hits. so I think
that's also very debatable. But okay.
I have the radio charts would kind of be the telltale truth there, but I do have a best of record.
A best of.
Yes,
we will refer to it moving forward as the best of.
Yeah.
And looking back on that, I kind of want to pick your brain about a few key moments through the career, I guess, that as we're kind of looking back on Dashboard as a whole. The first one being, of course, MTV Unplugged, because what a moment that was and has been such a defining moment for so many artists. What are your kind of key memories of that time in particular?
What a glorious thing. I'm just at the right age where MTV Unplugged was so important to me. And they'd stopped making MTV Unplugged for a period, and they had no intention of bringing it back. And I played a show in New York, and the creator, Alex Coletti, the creator and producer of MTV Unplugged, came just to see a show. And somehow he came backstage and said, you know, in all those years I did Unplugged, what I wanted to see happen with the audience is what happens at your show. And he would come on to see me several more times to see if, in fact, it happened all the time, which it did, this sing-along and community. And he revived the series. We were the only non-platinum selling act to ever do an MTV Unplugged, which, of course, then the record went platinum and made our career. It was a watershed moment for us. The whole thing between meeting Alex and then having him come to like 3 more shows and then filming the Unplugged was something like 5 weeks from meeting him to spitballing the idea to filming the thing. It changed the trajectory of our career. I think we would have had an interesting career. I think it would have been a good career. It would have been one I'm proud of. I don't know if it would have been a 20-year career. It's hard for me to think that it would have been a 20-year career had it not been for Alex Coletti stepping in and saying, this is what I've been looking for. I believe in you, kid, and I'm going to lay it on the line for you. Right. And that's happened a few times in my career. That's what it takes. That's the difference maker. Unless you become this sign to a big label and you're just a hit machine and a juggernaut, if you're a niche artist like me, it takes people that believe in you and are willing to put themselves on the line and take a risk.
Wow. No, what an incredible honor. I had no idea that they revived it just for that. And it worked so perfectly. It really did fit you. It's a kind of a meant to be moment, I suppose that one really is in your career.
I remember every second.
Wow.
Every second of it.
Amazing.
I've never watched it.
Oh, really?
I've never watched it. I don't need to.
Listen back to the album?
I never listened. I'm sure that one day I will. One day I will. I don't know what it'll take. Hopefully I'll sit down with Alex one day. Alex and I will watch it together. That would be a nice thing to do. But, I mean, the memory of it is so profound and alive. I don't know if it'll be as good as it is inside here. Yeah.
The way it is in your head. No, of course. No, what an amazing landmark moment. I guess the other thing I wanted to touch on is really something we talked a little bit about last time when you were back on the last album, is how there did seem to be this, I don't want to call it a revival because it didn't go away, but suddenly more forthcoming into the mainstream, what we will for one.
A re-embracing, maybe.
Re-embracing of that sound and of that particular musical style, not just with yourself, but even chatting with people like Jimmy Eat World the other week, who were very much contemporary, I think, at the time, and then all this kind of stuff. What did you notice about that, particularly on the last campaign, and getting to work with people like Nothing Nowhere and all this stuff? This new generation coming through.
When we came up, it was hard scrabble. We booked our own shows. We created a network. We worked together to put these shows on. I must have played hundreds of shows with the Get Up Kids, where we would flip-flop who was going to book which leg of the tour, things like this. It was heavy lifting, and it was so well worth it. I'm sure Jim would say the same from Jimmy Eat World. I'm sure all my contemporaries would say the same. But just like any scene that's born out of something true and honest, once it balloons into popularity, and is wildly and widely embraced as it was and celebrated for a bit, it's going to get knocked back on its ass. And we deserved it. Some of the bands, maybe me too, the sound of our music became bloated. That's not the agreement we had with the audience or ourselves. And I'm complicit in that, I think. I thought, well, now we're this big, so our records are supposed to sound like this, but that's not what our audience want my records to sound like, and it's not what I want my records to sound like. So there was a backlash, and the backlash was harsh, and it hurt. It hurt personally because I'm sensitive, and it certainly, I'm sure it hurt professionally because there were fewer people that would admit to liking our style of music. As things go, time passes, and people remembered the bands, remembered what was the heart of the thing, and returned to it. And once they did that, that's when the audience came back.
Yeah. No, 100%. And I guess that links very nicely onto what I'll finish with, really, which is where do you want to go next? What do you want Dashboard to sound like now, moving forward? What is in the pipeline, I guess, beyond the kind of looking back? Mm-hmm.
Well, there's 2 dashboards. There's always 2 dashboards. There's the me and an acoustic guitar dashboard, and then there's the me and my bandmates with a fuller band representation of a fuller band. And I really feel drawn to, just as I'm doing here, just me and an acoustic guitar. I feel like that might be on deck. I'm careful here because I don't ever know exactly for sure. But I feel like that might be the thing on deck finally, just a raw, revealing, stripped-down record. And then the ideas I have for what the next Dashboard record should sound like has really coalesced for me. I've taken stock of the best of my influences that I was very careful to never let show. Mm-hmm. When you're young, you don't want people to see that because you think that makes you seem unoriginal. I think once you get to be seasoned, you see there's room for you to explore that territory. And you should, because it means something to your heart. That's why you fell in love with The Cure for me and Built to Spill for me. And so maybe there's territory that, and I don't know that that's the thing, but maybe there's territory that they mind that I stayed away from. I'm taking all the stops out, so, and the things that I said to myself, don't do this because. Not doing that anymore. If it feels right to do it, that's what the next band record will have. There'll be no cuffs that I've placed on the band.
Well, what a wonderful place to find yourself, absolutely.
Feels good.
And in the meantime, what an incredible evening ahead of us, and I appreciate you making the time for us, I really do, and
Thank
all the
you.
best with the best of, as it were, as it's coming out. All right, good to see you, man.
Good
really
to see
appreciate
you.
it. Chris, everybody.